The morning sky burned red as the ships came down like falling stars. Captain Lisa Martinez stood on the deck of the USS Freedom watching death descend from space. The massive vessels were unlike anything humans had ever built. They moved through the atmosphere like living things, their hulls rippling with organic patterns that hurt to look at directly. 3 months had passed since first contact, and humanity had learned the hard truth. These beings had not come in peace. They called themselves the Dominion Coalition, and they had come to claim Earth as their garden world. Humans were nothing more than weeds to be removed. Lisa gripped the railing as the alien fleet took position in orbit. The communications officer turned to her with fear in his eyes. "Captain, we are receiving multiple transmissions on all frequencies. They are demanding immediate surrender of all human military forces." The voice that filled the bridge speakers was melodious and cold, like winter wind through crystal. It spoke perfect English, with an accent that seemed older than civilization itself. "People of Earth, you have been judged unworthy of this world. Your primitive nature offends the natural order. You will surrender your weapons and submit to relocation, or face cleansing." Lisa looked at her crew. They were good sailors, but they had trained to fight other humans, not gods from space. The alien ships hung in the sky like silver moons, each one larger than a city. Their weapons could turn mountains to glass and oceans to steam. Yet something in her refused to bow. "Send this message on all channels," she ordered. "Tell them Captain Lisa Martinez of the United States Navy says they can go to Heltha." Communications officer stared at her. "Captain, that might provoke them." "Good," she replied. "If they want to fight, they will get 1 mile away in her laboratory." Dr. Amanda Brooks studied the alien broadcasts with growing fascination. The beings called themselves elves, though they looked nothing like the fairy tale creatures of human stories. They were tall and graceful with skin that seemed to glow from within. Their technology was beyond anything Earth could produce, yet something about their communications troubled her. The linguistic patterns were too perfect. These aliens had been watching humanity for years, possibly decades. They knew every human language, every cultural reference, every weakness. The invasion had been planned down to the smallest detail. Her assistant Karen looked up from her computer screen. "Doctor, the pattern analysis is complete. The aliens are using psychological warfare techniques. They want us to see them as superior beings, worthy of worship." Manda nodded. She had suspected as much. The way they presented themselves, the formal language, the claims of divine authority, it was all designed to make humans feel small and helpless. But there was something they had missed. "Pull up the communication frequencies," she ordered. "I want to see how they coordinate their fleet." The data streams filled her screens. Thousands of signals flowing between the alien ships in patterns, too complex for human technology to decode. But Amanda was not looking at the signals themselves. She was looking at what was missing. "They have no backup systems," she whispered. "No redundancy in their communications. They are using some kind of unified network. If we could disrupt either." Words were interrupted by the sound of explosions. In the distance the war had begun. General Patricia Stone watched the first attacks from her command bunker deep beneath Colorado. The aliens had started with the major population centers, New York, London, Tokyo, all burning under beams of pure energy that cut through steel and concrete like paper. Conventional forces were being slaughtered. Human weapons bounced harmlessly off alien shields, while their return fire vaporized tanks and aircraft. The alien ground troops moved through human defenses like they were fighting children. Their powered armor made them nearly invincible, while their weapons could kill from miles away. "Sir, our losses are catastrophic," reported Colonel Davis. "The Third Fleet has been completely destroyed. The European Defense Force is down to 30% strength. We cannot fight them with conventional weapons." Patricia had expected this. The moment the alien ships appeared in orbit, she knew that humanity faced extinction, yet she was not ready to surrender. "Activate Protocol Blackout," she ordered. "All military units are to go dark immediately. No radio, no satellite communications, no electronic signatures." But General Davis protested. "How will we coordinate our forces? "We will not," she replied. "We are going underground. Every unit will operate independently. Use runners, use smoke signals, use anything but electronics from this moment forward. Humanity becomes invisible." The alien commander, Zarathiel, stood on the bridge of her flagship, watching the human world burn beneath her. The initial bombardment had proceeded exactly as planned. Major population centers were in flames. Human military forces were scattered and broken. Soon the cleansing would be complete. Her science officer, Kethera, approached with a puzzled expression. "Commander, we are detecting anomalous behavior from the human military for." Zarathiel barely glanced up. "What anomalies? These primitives have no capacity to surprise Usta. Humans have ceased all electronic communications," Kethera reported. "Their military units have simply vanished from our sensors. It is as if they have abandoned their technology." Zarathiel finally turned to look at her subordinate. "That is impossible. No military force can function without coordination. How can they command their troops?" Consulted her instruments. "That is what troubles me, Commander. According to our models, human forces should be in complete chaos by now. Instead, our ground teams are reporting organized resistance. The humans are fighting in small groups using primitive weapons and tactics." This news brought a frown to Zarathiel's perfect features. She had conquered 47 worlds, and never encountered resistance like this. Humans were supposed to be pack animals dependent on their leaders for direction. When the leadership was eliminated, the rest should scatter like frightened preys. "Send word to all ground commanders," she ordered. "Tell them to accelerate the cleansing schedule. These humans are proving more troublesome than anticipated." 3 weeks after the invasion began, engineer Maya Patel worked in the ruins of what had once been Detroit. The aliens had bombarded the city, but left much of the infrastructure intact. They needed the factories and power plants to maintain their occupation, and her team moved through the abandoned industrial district like ghosts. They had painted their skin with mud and charcoal to avoid the alien sensors. Their weapons were crude by modern standards, but effective against unarmored targets. The alien patrol approached their position with casual confidence. The tall, graceful beings moved through the rubble like they owned the world, which Maya supposed they did. Their armor gleamed in the afternoon sun, and their weapons hummed with deadly energy. Waited until they were directly below her position, then triggered the explosive charges her team had planted throughout the building. The aliens looked up in surprise as tons of concrete and steel crashed down on them. Their shields flared and died under the crushing weight. The survivors tried to call for help, but Maya had thought of that too. Her team had been jamming alien communications in this sector for days. The patrol was completely cut off from their command structure. The humans emerged from hiding with weapons drawn. The aliens were tough, but not invincible. Without their technology, they were just another enemy to be defeated. Maya looked down at the dead invaders and allowed herself a small smile. "Welcome to Earth," she said. Captain Lisa Martinez crouched in the ruins of a subway station beneath New York. The tunnels had become humanity's highways, invisible to alien sensors, and protected from their orbital bombardments. Her unit had been fighting for weeks now, living like rats in the darkness. The resistance was growing every day, brought new recruits, people who had lost everything to the alien cleansing. Operations were being coordinated through a network of runners who carried messages between cells. No electronics, no signatures, nothing the aliens could track. Runner approached her position. "Captain, we have word from the general. All units are to prepare for phase." Tulisa nodded. She had been expecting this order for 3 weeks. Humanity had been playing defense, hiding in shadows and striking when they could. Now it was time to show the aliens what humans were really capable of. The runner handed her a sealed envelope. Inside was a list of targets and a simple message: "The hunt begins." Lisa smiled. For the first time since the invasion started, the aliens thought they were the predators in this fight. They were about to learn the difference between hunting animals and hunting humans. The war was just beginning. The alien patrol moved through the streets of Chicago with lazy confidence. They had conquered this world in days, and the remaining humans posed no real threat. Or so they believed. Commander Kate Sullivan watched them from her hiding spot in the ruins of a skyscraper. Kate had been a fighter pilot before the invasion. Now she led a squadron of modified civilian aircraft that the aliens dismissed as harmless. The invaders had destroyed all military jets in the first wave, but they ignored crop dusters and small planes. That oversight was about to cost them. She spoke into her radio using the low-frequency channels the aliens could not monitor. Redbird to all units, target is in position. Begin the dance. 5 small aircraft rose from hidden positions throughout the city. They looked like civilian planes, but Maya Patel had worked miracles with them. The engines had been upgraded, the hulls reinforced, and each carried enough explosives to level a city block. The alien patrol looked up in confusion as the planes dove toward them. They raised their weapons, but the aircraft were already too close. The explosions lit up the morning sky, and when the smoke cleared, nothing remained of the patrol but scattered armor pieces. Kate smiled as her pilots reported successful strikes. The aliens were learning that controlling a city was different from conquering it. Every street corner could hide an ambush. Every building might contain explosives. The humans were fighting a different kind of war now. Amanda Brooks studied the captured alien equipment in her hidden laboratory. The invaders had been careless with their technology, assuming humans were too primitive to understand it. They were wrong. The alien devices operated on principles that seemed impossible by human physics. They used some kind of mental interface that allowed the user to control technology with thought alone. It was elegant and efficient, and it had a critical flaw humans could not use it. Amanda had discovered this weakness by accident. When she tried to interface with alien systems, nothing happened. Her mind simply could not connect to their networks. It was as if the technology did not recognize her as an intelligent being. At first, she thought it was a security measure designed to prevent captured equipment from being used against them, but further study revealed the truth. The aliens were psychically linked to their technology and to each other. Humans lacked this ability entirely. It was the discovery that would change everything in the underground tunnels beneath Los Angeles. Lisa Martinez met with cell leaders from across the western states. The resistance was growing stronger each day as more humans learned to fight without the technology they had always depended on. Maria Santos reported from San Francisco, the docks are under our control. We have captured 3 alien supply ships and eliminated their crews. The enemy is requesting reinforcements, but we are jamming their communications. Lisa nodded. The pattern was the same everywhere. Alien patrols would venture into human territory and simply disappear. The invaders controlled the major buildings and roads, but the spaces in between belonged to humanity. Are our supplies asked? Lisa, better than expected, replied Carlos Rodriguez from the Phoenix cell. The aliens use energy weapons that require specialized ammunition, but their armor and equipment can be stripped and used. Our engineers have learned to modify their gear for human use. This was the key to human success. The aliens had superior technology, but they depended on it completely. When their equipment failed or was destroyed, they became vulnerable. Humans, by contrast, could fight with rocks and sticks, if necessary. Messenger arrived with news from the East Coast. General Stone sends word. The aliens are requesting massive reinforcements from their home worlds. They are admitting publicly that Earth resistance exceeds all projections. Lisa felt a grim satisfaction. The aliens had expected to conquer Earth in days. Instead, they were bogged down in a grinding urban war that showed no signs of ending. Their casualty reports were climbing while human resistance grew stronger. What are orders? She asked. The messenger handed her a sealed packet. Phase 3 is approved. All cells are cleared to begin offensive operations. The general says it's time to show these aliens what humans do to invaders. The alien science officer Kethera stood before the tactical display in growing confusion. The human resistance made no sense according to every model in the Dominion database. When a primitive species lost its command structure, it should collapse within days. Yet, human forces were actually becoming more effective. The absence of centralized command seemed to make them stronger, not weaker. Individual cells were making tactical decisions that displayed remarkable sophistication. Commander Zarathiel entered the briefing room with barely contained fury. Report. She demanded. The situation continues to deteriorate, said Kethra. Human resistance cells have captured 3 more supply depots and eliminated the garrison at Grid 7. 7. Our casualties now exceed those of any previous conquest by a factor of 10. Zarathiel studied the tactical display, showing red zones where alien control was contested or lost. How is this possible? These humans have no psychic network. How do they coordinate their attacks? That is precisely the problem, responded Kethra. We have been monitoring for psychic communications, but detecting none. Yet somehow they are sharing information across vast distances. Their tactics suggest coordination that should be impossible without mental linking. The alien commander felt the first stirring of genuine concern. She had conquered worlds inhabited by species far more advanced than humans. None had offered resistance like this. The humans seemed to thrive on chaos, adapting to every situation with frightening speed. Double the ground forces, she ordered. If these primitives want to play at war, we will show them what real warfare looks like. Engineer Maya Patel worked in her new laboratory hidden in an abandoned mineshaft outside Denver. She had been studying captured alien technology for weeks, and the results were both promising and disturbing. The aliens were far more advanced than humans, but their technology had one critical weakness. It was designed for beings who shared a collective consciousness. Individual thinking was not just unnecessary, it was actively discouraged. Maya had learned to exploit this flaw. The alien systems expected commands from the psychic network. When those commands were absent, the technology became confused. And ineffective human engineers could override alien systems by providing the direct input the machines expected. She demonstrated this to her team by activating a captured alien rifle. The weapon powered up normally, but when Maya aimed at the targeting system failed to engage. It was waiting for psychic guidance that would never come. However, Maya had found a solution. She attached a simple electronic interface to the weapon's control system. Now the rifle responded to human commands as effectively as it had for its original owner. This is the breakthrough we needed, she told her assistants. We can use their own weapons against them. Better yet, we can improve them. Human engineering might be primitive by alien standards, but it had one advantage: pragmatism over elegance. Commander Kate Sullivan led her expanded air wing over the ruins of Phoenix. The aliens controlled the city center, but human forces held everything else. Her pilots flew a mix of converted civilian aircraft and captured alien fighters. The enemy had learned to take human air power seriously. They no longer sent patrols without fighter escorts. Their aircraft were superior to anything humans could build, but Kate had advantages they did not. Human pilots could think for themselves. When their formation was broken, they adapted individually. Alien pilots seemed lost without constant guidance from their command ships. They flew in predictable patterns that made them vulnerable to ambush. Kate dove her modified crop duster toward an alien transport. The enemy fighter escort moved to intercept, but they were too late. Her rocket struck the transport amidships, sending it spiraling into the desert below. Another victory for the home team, she radioed to her squadron. The aliens might own the sky, but humans were learning to borrow it. Dr. Amanda Brooks presented her findings to the resistance leadership in a secure bunker beneath Colorado Springs. Her research had revealed the fundamental difference between human and alien thinking. The aliens operate as a collective consciousness, she explained. Each individual is connected to all others through psychic links. This makes them incredibly efficient but also vulnerable. When we disrupt those links, they become confused and ineffective. General Patricia Stone studied the data. How can we use this against them? Manda smiled. We already are. Every time we jam their communications, we are not just blocking radio signals, we are severing psychic connections. The aliens become isolated and afraid. They have never learned to function as individuals. This explained why human resistance was so effective. The aliens expected to fight an organized military force with clear command structures. Instead, they faced thousands of independent cells, each making its own decisions. The invasion was failing, and the aliens were beginning to realize it. Reinforcement fleets were already en route from the alien homeworlds, but they would take months to arrive. By then, Amanda suspected the war would already be decided. The question was not whether humanity would survive, it was whether the aliens would. Lisa Martinez stood in the ruins of what had been downtown Atlanta. The city was a maze of rubble and twisted metal, but it was free. Human flags flew from improvised poles while children played in the streets. For the first time in months, the liberation of Atlanta had been the largest human victory so far. Coordinated strikes by dozens of resistance cells had overwhelmed the alien garrison. The invaders had called for air support, but Kate's pilots had shot down the relief force. It was proof that humans could not only survive the invasion, but win it. The aliens were no longer the hunters. They had become the prey. Messenger brought word from other fronts. Miami was free. Dallas had fallen to human forces. Seattle was under siege but holding. Human resistance was spreading like wildfire across the continent. Lisa looked up at the sky, where alien ships still circled like vultures. They controlled space and many cities, but they no longer controlled Earth. The real war was just beginning, and humanity intended to win. Etha, alien diplomat Cylindero, walked through the ruins of Detroit with growing unease. 2 months had passed since the invasion began, and nothing had gone according to plan. The humans should have surrendered by now. Instead, they fought with increasing skill and determination. Her escort of warrior elves moved nervously through the rubble. Their armor gleamed, but their confidence was shaken. Too many patrols had entered human territory and never returned. The primitives were learning to hunt their hunters. A sound echoed from the buildings around them, metallic and rhythmic like hammers on steel. The escort raised their weapons, scanning for targets, but the streets appeared empty. The humans had become ghosts, masters of their ruined world. Cylindera was different from most of her kind. She had studied the conquered species that came before, and she had begun to see patterns. The Dominion succeeded because they faced civilizations that fought like them, organized, hierarchical, predictable, but humans were none of these things. The sound grew louder, and the escort commander Vexoni gestured for his troops to take cover. Something was coming through the buildings ahead. A massive shape emerged from the smoke and dust. It was a human war machine, but not like anything in the Dominion database. The vehicle looked primitive, welded steel plates and crude weapons, but it moved with deadly purpose. The humans had built it from scrap, and it bristled with captured alien technology. The machine opened fire with weapons that should not exist. Human projectile weapons paired with alien energy systems. The combination tore through elven armor like it was made of paper. The escort scattered in panic as their shields failed under the assault. Zelanda watched in fascination as the human machine rolled past. She was witnessing evolution in action. The humans were adapting their technology, merging it with alien systems to create something entirely new. They were becoming more dangerous with each passing. Damia Patel stood in her expanded workshop surrounded by the fruits of human ingenuity. The captured alien technology had been completely reverse engineered. Every weapon, every piece of armor, every sensor system had been taken apart, studied, and improved. The aliens built elegant machines that relied on psychic interfaces and collective consciousness. But humans built practical machines that worked regardless of who used them. The combination was proving devastatingly effective. She showed her latest creation to General Stone, who had come to inspect the facility. This hybrid rifle uses alien power cells, but fires conventional ammunition. The targeting system is purely electronic, so any human can use it. The rate of fire is triple that of standard alien weapons. General hefted the weapon appreciatively. Our forces report that alien equipment failures are increasing. Maya nodded. That is intentional. We have been introducing viruses into their computer systems every time we capture equipment. The aliens designed their technology to resist psychic interference, but they never considered electronic warfare. It was perhaps the greatest irony of the war. The aliens viewed humans as primitives, yet human computer systems were more secure than alien ones. The invaders had grown dependent on their psychic networks. They had forgotten how to fight an enemy that could not be mentally influenced. Amanda Brooks coordinated the psychological warfare campaign from her laboratory beneath the ruins of MIT. The aliens were not just losing battles, they were losing their will to fight. Her analysis of captured communications revealed growing fear among alien forces. They had expected easy conquest of a primitive world. Instead, they faced an enemy that seemed to grow stronger with each defeat. The humans exhibit impossible coordination without detectable psychic networks. Read one alien report. Their tactical decisions appear random, yet consistently effective. This suggests intelligence patterns we do not understand. Manda smiled as she read the reports. The aliens could not comprehend human individuality. They were used to fighting hive minds where destroying the central authority meant victory, but humans had no central authority. Each person could think and act independently. She sent her latest analysis to resistance cells worldwide. The enemy is demoralized and requesting massive reinforcements from their home fleets. They are admitting failure, but cannot understand why continue aggressive operations. The aliens are beginning to fear us. Commander Kate Sullivan flew her captured alien fighter over the burning remains of Las Vegas. The city had been the site of the largest battles so far. Human forces had surrounded the alien garrison and laid siege for 3 weeks. The aliens had superior firepower, but they could not break out. Human forces melted away when attacked, then reformed to strike again. The invaders were trapped in an urban maze where their technological advantages meant nothing. Kate dove toward an alien supply convoy trying to reach the besieged garrison. Her fighter was a hybrid human and alien design, faster and more maneuverable than anything the enemy possessed. Her weapons were captured alien systems modified for human use. The convoy escort moved to intercept, but Kate had advantages. They lacked human pilots' thought independently, making split-second decisions that confused alien formations. She rolled between 2 enemy fighters and fired a burst that sent one spinning into the desert. The convoy scattered as more human fighters joined the attack within minutes. The supplies that might have sustained the garrison for weeks were burning on the highway below. Kate smiled as she turned toward home. The aliens were learning that controlling Earth meant fighting for every mile. Captain Lisa Martinez moved through the tunnels beneath New York, planning the liberation of Manhattan. The aliens still controlled the major buildings, but human forces had infiltrated the city through subways, sewers and service tunnels. The enemy garrison numbered in the thousands, but they were isolated and demoralized. Supplies came irregularly and patrols faced constant ambush. The humans had turned the city into a trap. Lisa met with cell leaders from across the region. Each group operated independently, but they shared intelligence and coordinated major operations. The lack of central command that should have been a weakness had become their greatest strength. Alien commander refuses to abandon his position, reported Maria Santos from the Brooklyn cell. His forces are dug in around the financial district, but they cannot move without being attacked. That works in our favor, said Lisa. We do not need to destroy them. We just need to make them irrelevant. The plan was simple. Human forces would bypass the alien strongholds and declare Manhattan free. The invaders could keep their buildings, but the city would belong to humanity. Commander Sarah Thiel stood on the bridge of her flagship, studying reports that made no sense. Human resistance was not weakening, it was growing. Stronger alien casualties mounted daily, while human forces seemed to multiply. Her subordinate, Cathara, approached with the latest intelligence estimates. Commander, the humans now field approximately 2 million active combatants. This represents a 400% increase from initial projections. Arathy felt something she had never experienced in 47 conquests. Fear. The humans were not just resisting, they were winning. Individual battles were becoming irrelevant. The entire invasion was failing. How is this possible? She demanded. These primitives should be broken by now. Cathara consulted her reports. Our analysts believe the humans possess a form of consciousness we have never encountered. They appear to function as billions of independent minds, yet somehow coordinate their actions. The concept was alien to Dominion, thinking every species they had conquered shared some form of collective consciousness. Even the most primitive civilizations had clear hierarchies that could be disrupted, but humans seemed to thrive on castable. The reinforcement request ordered Zarathiel and contact the Conclave. Tell them we need authorization for total planetary sterilization. Kethra hesitated. Commander, that would destroy the world we came to claim then. We will find another, replied Zarathiel. These humans cannot be allowed to spread their madness to other worlds. But even as she spoke the words, Zarathiel knew the truth. The invasion had already failed. The only question was whether the Dominion could contain the damage, or if humanity would become something far worse than they had ever imagined. Cylindar sat in her private quarters, reading reports from the front lines with growing fascination. The humans were not just defeating Dominion forces, they were evolving. Human technology was advancing at an impossible rate, driven by desperateness. In 2 months they had progressed from primitive projectile weapons to hybrid systems that outperformed Dominion equipment. Their tactics had evolved from chaotic resistance to sophisticated warfare. Their coordination had improved from random to seemingly telepathic. She activated her private communications system and sent a coded message to the human resistance. She had been covertly providing intelligence for weeks now, sharing information about Dominion plans and weaknesses. The message was simple but significant. The reinforcement fleet would arrive. In 30 days it carried enough firepower to sterilize Earth, but it also carried something else, the coordinates of every Dominion world in this sector of the galaxy. If the humans survived the coming assault, they would have targets for revenge. And Cylindera was beginning to believe that humanity might be capable of far more than mere survival. The war was about to enter its final phase, but it would not end with human surrender. The Dominion had awakened something ancient and terrible in the human species, the will not just to survive, but to dominate. The hunters had become the hunted, and soon the galaxy would learn what that truly meant. General Patricia Stone stood in her command bunker deep beneath Colorado Springs, watching the tactical displays that showed humanity preparing for its greatest gamble. The alien reinforcement fleet would arrive in 72 hours, carrying enough firepower to reduce Earth to molten glass. Operation Nemesis was humanity's answer to extinction. Simultaneous strikes against every major alien installation on the planet. The resistance had grown from scattered survivors into a coordinated military force, numbering in the millions. Now they would prove whether human determination could overcome alien technology. Lisa Martinez checked her equipment one final time as her strike team prepared to assault the primary alien command ship. The massive vessel had landed outside Chicago to coordinate the final cleansing of Earth. Its destruction would cripple alien communications across North America. Her team consisted of veterans who had survived 4 months of underground warfare. They moved through the ruins like ghosts, each one a specialist in killing aliens. Their weapons were hybrids of human and alien technology, more dangerous than anything either species had produced alone. The command ship rose from the crater. Its impact had created like a silver mountain. Its shields shimmered in the morning light, while automated defenses swept the surrounding area with energy beams. But Maya Patel had found weaknesses in those systems, and Lisa intended to exploit them. Kate Sullivan led the largest air wing ever assembled by human forces over the skies of Texas. Her squadron included captured alien fighters, modified civilian aircraft, and new hybrid designs built in hidden factories. The aliens would face an air force they had not expected humanity to possess. The enemy had grown complacent after months of orbital supremacy there. Fighter patrols followed predictable patterns, and their defenses were designed to counter organized military strikes. But Kate commanded independent pilots who made their own tactical decisions. She dove her hybrid fighter toward an alien supply base while her squadron spread out to attack multiple targets. The aliens scrambled interceptors, but they were caught off guard by the speed and coordination of the human assault. Within minutes, 3 bases were burning. Maya Patel activated the hidden weapons systems she had spent months installing throughout human territory. Every piece of alien technology the invaders had studied contained viruses and override codes. The aliens had been studying human civilization, but humans had been studying them. Electronic warfare signals flooded alien communication networks, causing widespread system failures. The invaders found their weapons malfunctioning, their vehicles shutting down, their armor losing power. The technology they depended on was turning against them. In laboratories hidden across the globe, Dr. Amanda Brooks coordinated the biological warfare campaign. Human scientists had analyzed alien physiology and developed targeted pathogens. The diseases were harmless to humans, but deadly to the invader species. Her soul dispensers hidden in alien-occupied buildings began releasing the biological agents. The aliens had ignored human biotechnology as primitive, but they had no immunity to Earth diseases modified specifically to target their unique biology. The assault on the command ship began with Maya Patel's electronic warfare systems disrupting the vessel's shields. Lisa Martinez led her strike team through the breach as alien defenses flickered and failed. The corridors were filled with confused invaders whose equipment no longer responded to their commands. The aliens fought desperately, but they were not prepared for human soldiers who thought independently. Their tactics relied on coordinated responses from their psychic network. When that network was jammed, they became predictable and vulnerable. Lisa pushed deeper into the ship, searching for the command center. Her team moved with mechanical precision, each member covering the others as they advanced. The aliens fired energy weapons that could vaporize human beings, but they could not hit targets that refused to cooperate. Commander Zarathiel stood in her command center, watching her perfect invasion collapse around her. The humans were attacking everywhere at once with weapons and tactics that should not exist. Their coordination was impossible without a psychic network, yet somehow they were succeeding. The tactical displays showed red warning signals across every continent. Human forces had emerged from hiding to strike at alien installations with devastating effect. The primitives were not just resisting, they were winning. Cathera approached with reports that made no sense. Commander, our casualties exceed 50%, and climbing. The humans appear to have weaponized our own technology against us. Our systems are failing across multiple sectors. Ethiel felt rage and fear in equal measure. She had conquered 47 worlds and never faced defeat like this. The humans were not just defeating the Dominion, they were humiliating it. Activate the planetary bombardment system, she ordered. If we cannot claim this world, we will deny it to them. But Kethra shook her head. Commander, the bombardment systems are offline. The humans have infected our networks with computer viruses. Our weapons will not respond. The truth struck Zarathiel like a physical blow. The humans had been planning this from the beginning. Every piece of technology they had allowed the aliens to capture was a weapon turned against its creators. The primitives had been playing a game far more sophisticated than she had imagined. Lisa Martinez and her team reached the command center to find Zarathiel waiting with her personal guard. The alien commander was tall and graceful with skin that glowed like starlight, but her eyes held the fear of someone who had discovered she was not the apex predator she believed herself to be. You cannot defeat the Dominion, Zarathiel declared, even as her guards fell. 2 human weapons. We span dozens of galaxies. We have conquered thousands of worlds. Lisa smiled as she raised her weapon. We know. We read your databases while you were studying Usta Command Center, filled with humans as more strike teams arrived. The aliens were overwhelmed by soldiers who fought with individual initiative rather than collective coordination. Each human made independent tactical decisions that the aliens could not predict or counter. Zarathiel fell with energy weapon fire burning through her armor. Her final words were a question. How did primitives defeat us? The answer came from Dr. Amanda Brooks' voice over the communication system. You assumed we were primitive because we lacked psychic abilities. You never considered that our independence might be a strength rather than a weakness. See cross Earth. The pattern repeated itself. Human forces struck at alien positions with weapons the invaders had never seen. Tactics they could not counter, and coordination they could not understand. The technological gap that should have guaranteed alien victory became irrelevant. The resistance had learned to fight on human terms, using human advantages against alien weaknesses, independence over conformity, pragmatism over elegance, individual initiative over collective action. By sunset, the planet was free. Human flags flew over alien installations while captured invaders sat in improvised prison camps. The impossible had happened. A primitive species had defeated an interstellar empire, but the victory celebration was brief. Long-range sensors detected the approaching reinforcement fleet, dozens of ships carrying weapons that could shatter continents. The real test was yet to come. General Stone addressed the planet via captured alien communication networks. Citizens of Earth, we have won the first battle, but the war continues. The aliens are sending everything they have to destroy Ustra. She paused, looking at the tactical displays showing the approaching fleet, but they still do not understand what they are facing. We are not just defending our world anymore, we are going on the offensive. The liberation of Earth was complete, but it was only the beginning. Humanity had tasted victory against impossible odds and discovered they were capable of far more than survival. They were capable of conquest. The galaxy was about to learn what happened when humans decided to take the war to their enemies. The age of human expansion was about to begin, and the aliens who had claimed dominion over Earth would be the first to experience the true meaning of extinction, the Dominion reinforcement. Fleet emerged from hyperspace, expecting to find a dead world. Instead, they found something that would haunt their species for generations to come. Earth bristled with weapons. Human-built ships patrolled the solar system, and the planet itself glowed with the energy signatures of advanced technology. Maya Patel stood in the orbital shipyard that had been built around the captured alien command vessel. In 6 months, humanity had transformed from a single world species into an interstellar power. The reverse-engineered alien technology had been improved beyond recognition. The ships emerging from the construction bays were hybrids of human engineering and alien science. Faster, stronger, and more deadly than anything the Dominion had ever produced. They carried crews of humans who had learned to think like predators rather than prey. Captain Lisa Martinez commanded the flagship of humanity's new space fleet. The vessel had been built around the core of Zarathiel's command ship, but everything else was purely human design. The bridge crew consisted of veterans who had fought in the tunnels beneath Earth and learned to kill God's long-range sensors. Show multiple Dominion vessels entering the outer system, reported her tactical officer. They are requesting communication. Lisa smiled. Put them through. Let us see what our former masters have to say. The communication screen filled with the image of an alien commander who looked remarkably like Zarathiel. The being spoke in the same melodious tone that had once demanded human surrender. People of Earth, I am Fleet Commander Thalion, of the Dominion Coalition. Your resistance ends here. Submit to cleansing, or face the full might of our battle. Fleet Lisa looked at her crew. They were humans who had learned to laugh at threats from superior beings. We are Captain Lisa Martinez, of the Earth Defense Force. Here is our response to your ultimatum. The transmission cut to footage of human ships launching from hidden bases across the solar system. The Dominion fleet found itself surrounded by vessels that should not exist, crewed by beings they had dismissed as primitives. Commander Kate Sullivan led the fighter wing that spearheaded the human assault. Her pilots flew captured alien vessels modified with human systems. They moved with individual initiative that confused enemy formations while their weapons struck with precision the aliens could not match. The Dominion ships opened fire with weapons that could vaporize planets, but the human vessels were no longer there. They used tactics learned in the ruins of Earth, appearing and disappearing like ghosts while their return fire found every weakness in alien defense. Salian watched his supposedly superior fleet being torn apart by primitives who fought like demons. His ships carried technology that had conquered galaxies, but the humans seemed immune to conventional warfare. They adapted to every tactic faster than his forces could implement them. Dar Amanda Brooks coordinated the psychological warfare campaign from her new laboratory on Luna. The aliens depended on their collective consciousness, but humans had learned to exploit that dependency. Every captured alien became a weapon against their own. People, the biological agents released during the battle, were specifically designed to target alien neural pathways responsible for psychic communication. Within hours, the Dominion fleet was reduced to individual ships fighting without coordination. Their greatest strength had become their weakness. General Patricia Stone commanded the overall human offensive from her flagship orbiting Mars. The battle was proceeding exactly as planned. The aliens still thought in terms of conventional space warfare, but humans had learned to fight on multiple levels simultaneously. Electronic warfare viruses infected alien computer systems, while biological agents disrupted their psychic networks. Human ships struck from unexpected angles, using tactics that ignored traditional military doctrine. The result was slaughter on an unprecedented scales. Londera watched the destruction from her ship at the edge of the system. She had defected to humanity months ago, providing intelligence that made the current victory possible. Now she witnessed the birth of something terrible and magnificent. The humans were not just defeating the Dominion, they were absorbing its technology, its knowledge, its very essence. Each captured ship became part of the growing human fleet. Each prisoner provided information about other alien worlds. The conquerors were becoming the conquered. Thalion made a desperate transmission to his superiors as his fleet died around him. The humans are not what we believed them to be. They have evolved beyond our understanding. They must be stopped before they spread to other systems. But the transmission was intercepted by human intelligence, who added their own message to the data stream. Tell the Dominion that Earth remembers every world you have burned, every species you have enslaved. We are coming for all of you. The battle ended with complete human victory. The surviving alien ships fled into hyperspace, carrying word of humanity's transformation. The species that had been marked for extinction was now the greatest threat the galaxy had ever known. Maya Patel reviewed the captured alien databases in her laboratory. The Dominion had conquered 47 worlds and enslaved billions of sentient beings. But they had also provided humanity with detailed maps of their territory and the locations of every species under their control. The liberated worlds would become allies, while the Dominion species would face the same extinction they had planned for. Humanity, the galaxy was about to experience what happened when humans decided that survival was not enough. Lisa Martinez stood on the bridge of her flagship as the first human expeditionary fleet prepared to depart for Dominion space. The ships were crewed by veterans of the Earth campaign who had learned to fight impossible odds and win. The first target was the Dominion homeworld itself, a strike that would demonstrate humanity's new capabilities. The aliens would learn that claiming dominion over Earth meant facing a species that viewed the entire galaxy as their hunting ground. Dr. Amanda Brooks broadcast humanity's declaration of war to every world in Dominion space. The message was simple and terrifying: the species you tried to extinct has survived and evolved. We are no longer defending our world, we are taking yours. The psychological impact was devastating. The Dominion had built their empire on the belief that they were superior beings, destined to rule lesser species. But humans had proven that superiority was earned, not inherited. Commander Kate Sullivan led her fighter wings through hyperspace toward the first Dominion colony. The aliens there had lived in peace for centuries, secure in their belief that their technology made them invulnerable. They would discover that humans had surpassed that technology. General Stone coordinated the multi-pronged assault on Dominion territory from her command ship. Each human fleet carried enough firepower to sterilize worlds, but they also carried something more dangerous: the will to use it. The aliens had made the fatal mistake of teaching humans to think like conquerors. Now, they would experience conquest from the perspective of the conquered. The irony was not lost on human commanders who remembered the burning of Earth's Alandra, worked with human intelligence to identify targets throughout Dominion space. Her knowledge of alien psychology and technology made her invaluable to the human war effort. She had chosen the winning side and intended to help them achieve total victory. The first human raids struck Dominion outposts with devastating effect. Alien colonies that had never seen warfare found themselves under assault by beings they had considered extinct. The psychological impact was as important as the military victory. Within weeks, the Dominion coalition began fragmenting member species, questioned why they were fighting for beings who had led them to disaster against primitives. The alliance that had conquered galaxies crumbled under pressure from a single world. The aliens requested peace negotiations, but humanity's response was simple. Surrender was no longer possible. The Dominion had taught humans the meaning of total war. Now they would experience it from the receiving end. 6 months after the failed invasion of Earth, human fleets patrolled former Dominion space. The alien empire was broken, its member species scattered or absorbed into humanity's growing confederation. The conquerors had become the conquered. Lisa Martinez stood on the bridge of her flagship, orbiting the former Dominion capital of the planet. Below burned with the fires of human justice. The species that had planned to cleanse Earth now faced their own extinction. The galaxy had learned a harsh lesson about underestimating humanity. Those who claimed dominion over Earth discovered that humans did not just fight back, they evolved into something far more dangerous than their enemies had ever imagined. The age of human expansion had begun, and the galaxy would never be the same. The species that had been marked for extinction was now the apex predator, and they intended to remake the galaxy in their own image from the ashes of invasion. Humanity had risen to become the greatest power the galaxy had ever known. The aliens had taught them to think like conquerors, and now they would reap the consequences of that education. The story ended as it began, with ships falling from the sky. But now they were human ships, carrying human soldiers to human worlds. The galaxy belonged to Earth, and Earth remembered every insult, every threat, every attempt at conquest. The meaning of extinction had been demonstrated, but not in the way the aliens had intended. They had awakened something ancient and terrible in the human species, the will, not just to survive, but to dominate, and now that will would reshape the galaxy forever.